Welcome to this YouTube premiere for Altrincham Football Club, and thank you for sending in your questions. We've got 10 questions on the commercial activities of Altrincham Football Club, and to answer those questions we've got an esteemed panel, starting with our commercial director, John Coyne. We've also got our partnerships manager, Samantha MacKenzie, with us, and our co-chairman, Lawrence Looney. So thanks very much for agreeing to answer the 10 questions that we're going to put before you now. And it's a very exciting time for Altrincham Football Club in terms of commercial developments. And we've got some great questions. So let's crack on with the questions. The first one comes from Paul Raftery. Thanks for your question, Paul. And Paul states, do you have any plans to grow the relationship with and support our juniors section? For example, the Puma kit deal, does this cover the kids and the coaches? Feels like a great opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, Brian, I'll pick that one up. And thank you, Paul. Good question to get us started. So in terms of the relationship with the juniors, absolutely. Since I came in as co-chair, I've really worked hard to bring all parts of the football club together, so the community and the juniors, because in my eyes, I just see it as simply as one football club. Although I appreciate, they're ran under different entities and different governance, but in terms of the bringing us together, yes, we've been having regular meetings with Paul Woolley and Sarah for a number of months, and I think our relationship is growing stronger all the time, and we've started talking about opportunities where we can link together and go forward. So yes, definitely to that question. I hope that just becomes stronger and stronger as time goes on. In terms of the Puma deal, that's a little bit more tricky because the juniors, as you all know, Paul, have many teams, and I think there's still a bit more work to do just to work out how they best potentially bring the Puma deal in, because there's a lot of teams to work with. But from my point of view, I absolutely want us aligned and as aligned as quick as possible. But I think it's just going to take a bit of time for the juniors to work that through with Puma. I believe conversations are ongoing, so hopefully we'll hear something on that shortly.
Anybody got anything to add to that?
No, I think Lawrence has summed it up quite well.
Excellent. Okay, let's crack on. Second question comes from Andrew Sibbett. Andrew says, great news on the Puma announcement, but what makes it such a good deal financially?
Yeah, I can pick that one up, Brian. I suppose we've got to take it back a step, and it's not just the Puma deal, which has obviously been the main talking point of the last week. But I suppose at the start of this season, way back in August, September, October, when we started to think about our commercial activity and what the shortfall might be as a result of COVID and restrictions and no gate receipts, we've looked across the board at a magnitude of suppliers and trying to make sure that we can find the best possible deal for the club. And that's been first and foremost in anything we've done. What makes Puma financially great for the club? Well, there's a number of things. One is the deal we've struck with Puma allows us to get the playing kit at a substantially reduced cost to the club than we were previously paying, which is fantastic. That also means we don't have to have any wholesale changes to what we charge to purchase the strip, and I know that's been a question on forums and on social media, but happy to confirm that the cost for the retail price will stay the same as it is now. And that'll just show you the deal that we've done with Puma, because the margin we can make, is much greater. I think also the prestige that comes with Puma will probably mean we will sell more shirts. I think just as a sportswear brand, people are familiar with Puma. People wear Puma, buy Puma today. We'll also have a lot more in terms of training and leisure wear available. So as a combined package, it was just a bit of a no-brainer for us, and one that we think will make a massive difference financially.
Okay, thank you, John. Anything to add?
I think Brian, just to add to that, you know, and I've talked about this previously, but everything we do within the board and for the football club, you know, we are making sure that, you know, we really do a rigorous approach to find the best deal for the football club. And this one was a bit more tough because we've had a long relationship with Ian, and Ian has been, you know, fantastic throughout that period. I think that he's supported the club and the service he's offered, and right across the club, you can't knock it. But, you know, for us to go forward as a football club, we've got to get the financial side of the football club right. And that is the part of it on this deal, especially, that, you know, makes it so attractive for us. But, you know, just to give everyone, you know, reassurance, you know, there's a lot of work that goes into it. John and the team that's had it supporting it has been unbelievable, the amount of effort they put to make sure, one, we've got the right deal, and two, it's the right deal to take us forward for a number of years. So that's the extra bit, you know, I would add.
Yeah, and I suppose just to touch on that point around Ian, I think, as the website article said, he will continue to remain involved, and, you know, remains a friend and a key partner for us going forward, and will still play a part. And obviously this was a business decision at the end of the day, and one that is right for the football club right now.
Okay, thanks very much. Right, let's head north of the border now. We've got a question from Nick Smith, who's a Scotland-based Altrincham fan. And Nick says, with such a recognisable company in Puma now supporting us, will Altrincham merchandise and clothing be marketed outside the club, i.e. in retail outlets in the Altrincham area?
That's a good question, Nick, and thank you for your continued support. I see Nick's name appearing on orders on AltiDirect quite frequently. So, you know, kudos to you, Nick, and thanks for the question. Will we be marketing outside the club? There's a possibility. We're looking into that, and what it means to us in terms of, again, margin's quite key for us in anything that we do. It would be amazing if we could, you know, have some kind of exposure in other non-Altrincham owned outlets, and it's one to watch. It's not something that we've not discussed as a board, but the logistics behind it and the supply chains, it's quite difficult to get into, let's say, a JD Sports or a DW Sports and the like. So it's one to watch, one that we're not ruling out, but it would be fantastic if we can make it happen.
Thanks, John. Anything to add to that? Right, let's crack on. Next question is from Chris Whiteleg. Chris says, the future of Altrincham Football Club is going in the right direction. What other big sponsors do you expect Altrincham FC to get in the near future?
Shall I take that one? Thank you, Christopher. Thanks, Brian. We've actually been growing the sponsorship base currently. Believe it or not, we've had sort of 8 new people join us, which is really quite amazing with the current circumstances that we've been facing. So certainly we're always talking to people across the board. We certainly want to grow the current existing people that we're partnering with. I think there's some additional stuff we can offer them, they can offer us, and we want to really grow and get some longevity, out of them for sure. I think we'll definitely see a good level of interest from sort of the Puma bounds. That, I mean, everybody I deal with saw the comms, saw it, and immediately got back saying, wow, you know, amazing opportunities, fantastic, you know, brand to be partnered with. And clearly we're going to keep getting a bounce from the team's performance, which, you know, has been fantastic. And again, the people I'm dealing with, the sort of key sponsors, partners I'm dealing with, really enthusiastic about what's happening on the pitch. I think another thing we're going to work really well is building some good models. We've had to work quite differently currently, with social media having to come into play a lot more through the COVID circumstances. So we're trying to build models that can maybe a little bit more bespoke for people. I think one of the key things we want to do, Noel and myself, will work within the commercial on more of a daily basis, is understanding what partners want from us, what we can offer them. We can tailor make some stuff, which is great. We also want to understand whether they want to, is it just exposure in the ground? Is it exposure to our season tickets holders, our fans? is that they want to partner with us with Altrincham, and we've just reached out recently to the Altrincham bid, Altrincham Unlimited. We currently have some good partners already in Altrincham, but I think there's a real good enthusiasm for the club to want to align ourselves with the town, who is a partner. You know, they're physically there, or extremely close to them geographically, and as I say, we have some great high street presence. Just, I mean, partly with the previous question with John, you know, let's get some kit in some stores in Altrincham kind of thing. We have people that they're really enthusiastic about wanting to join us. As I say, it's just developing, you know, what they want from us and what we can give them. A good example for us was the Ticket Junior Robins initiative, with the outreach into the schools, into the community. I've had quite a few conversations with the community. So I suppose in answer to Christopher's question, how big is the next person going to be? I don't know, let's dream big. It's super exciting. But definitely lots of conversations taking place, and the enthusiasm of the board, the enthusiasm of the club as a whole, and the way we're going forward is for me personally a really fantastic message to be communicating out to partners of all sizes. So it's a really exciting time, and yeah, let's hope we do, you know, get some, you know, large partners too, but definitely working with who we've got as well.
That's great. Sounds comprehensive answer. Anything to add?
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
Sorry, Lawrence. I was just going to say, you know, Sam alluded to it at the end. Then, you know, we owe a lot of gratitude to the existing sponsors and partners who've stood by us this year. When you know, clearly what we've been able to deliver them has been different. You know, we've not been able to welcome them into the stadium, and they've not enjoyed their usual match day routines within the sponsors lounge and things like that, and they've stood by us, and you know, we're trying our best to reward that. We're being innovative. We're thinking of new ways to give something back to them, and that'll continue. And that's something that, you know, we're always going to work on. But really, you know, a huge thanks to those who've stood by us.
Yeah, Brian, and I was going to say the same thing, really, in terms of, you know, if you look at the commercial side of the numbers, it's a huge part of us being able to, you know, to do what we've been able to do this season, especially even being able to continue it the season. And I've just been amazed by our sponsors and how they've stuck by us, because they're not getting an awful lot back from it, really. But, you know, wherever we have been able to give something back, you know, we have done so. So I just want to say a huge thank you, because, you know, we wouldn't be where we are today, you know, without our sponsors. It's as simple as that. And then secondly, don't want to embarrass Sam too much, but, you know, a thank you to Sam as well, because, you know, when I looked at what we needed going forward, you know, we were looking after our sponsors, but especially through COVID, you know, we needed to spend more time with them. We needed to make sure we were looking after them. We need to see if there was more opportunities they wanted to do with us. And Noel's been doing a fantastic job, but it's a big job for the time he has in the office. And I wanted someone who could, you know, make sure that we were looking after our existing sponsors, but when new sponsors came through, you know, we had the time and spent the right amount of time with them to see what they wanted and really kind of support them with trying to bring on their brands as well. And Sam has just done a fantastic job on that. You know, I think the feedback we've had from existing sponsors has been great. And like Sam says, 8 new sponsors in this very difficult period is also, you know, shows how strong the difference Sam has made to us since she's come in.
Thank you. And Sam, this is the first time that I think most people will have seen you being involved at Altrincham Football Club. You're a relatively new addition to the team, and you're the partnerships manager. So can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved and what your job involves?
Last year, probably, I think maybe September, October, I'd looked on the website, seen the roles that were offering at the time for volunteer, very quickly reached out to Lawrence on email. We had a few email exchanges, then we had some conversations on the phone, then I had a Zoom with Bill, I think Bill, John, Rob, Lawrence, which was great. Just had a chat, completely loved the enthusiasm, great the direction the club was going in, and felt that sort of I may have a skill set that I could offer and bring, and maybe try and add some value. And so quickly was wanting to, really get involved. So I beat them down in the end, and they allowed me to join. So it's been great. Everybody's been extremely welcoming. Met some fantastic people. Everybody's been hugely patient with me when they've had to, get me up to speed with things. And in terms of, again, it can't be said enough today how the existing sponsors have been fantastic, supportive, hugely interested, and the level of enthusiasm that comes out from the board, and as I keep saying, it was taking place on the pitch, actually makes my role an absolute pleasure. Everybody really is behind the club and wants to really take it forward with us. So, as I say.
And you mentioned Noel Shield, who's been working at the football club for a number of years now, and is a long-standing fan. I think over 50 years. So he's one of your key partners.
He is over 50. He looks amazing, so. Doesn't he? Yeah, he's been fantastic. A lot of hand holding when I've needed it, and I mean, it's not fair to say this, and it just seems dreadful to say, but I've had quite a steep learning curve, but it's been actually quite a gentle environment because of COVID. I've had, the match day experience is being rather gentle, though I cannot wait to get it absolutely full. Can't wait to get the sponsors in the sponsors lounge and all that sort of stuff. But it's a fantastic club. I mean, fantastic club, and the people that are associated with it as well are superb. Just absolutely great bunch of people. And I feel exceptionally privileged to be involved. I really do. It's great. So thank you.
Great to have you on board. Let's move on to the next question, which comes from Freddie Stott. I think Freddie is based down in the south of England. Freddie asks, since the fantastic announcement regarding our association with Puma, how does the board plan to maximise revenue and enhance our own branding via this? How do we plan to promote our new merchandise, and will the layout of the online shop be changing?
I can pick that one up, Brian. Good question, Freddie. We've had a few exchanges on Twitter, Freddie and myself, over the past year, but since I've been involved, I think branding's been one of the key elements I've been looking at, and how we perfect our strategy for going forward. How does the relationship with Puma help that? Well, what it does allow us is to tap into the much greater resource, and we have an agreement with Puma which will see their marketing department and their PR department help and support and promote Alti. I think they're very pleased with the deal in place as well. We can tap into, if we think about the kit launch, which is coming in April, we can tap into their resource to help with that. In terms of photography, we've got great photographers in Michael and Jonathan who'll be involved. We can look at video, but we'll have the full weight of Puma's resource behind us, essentially, which I think will enhance just organically our branding, partly because we have to adhere to the guidelines that they'll set, but also we're getting stronger at setting our own guidelines on what we think good looks like for branding. And the plan is always to maximise revenue, no matter what we're doing, whether that's through the association with Puma or through all of the other initiatives that we've got, and there are plenty. And we're growing this football club, and we've got ambitions to keep doing so. I think Freddie's final question, Brian, just remind me, online shop, is that going to change?
How do we plan to promote our new merchandise, and will the layout of the online shop be changing?
We will have, we can have support from Puma in terms of the online shop. We have got our own Alti Direct, and I think that will undoubtedly have a nice lick of paint as we head in towards the summer, because it'll feature some branding from Puma, and a lot of the photography will change. I think that the idea this year, and I've been asked a few times, what's our plan retail wise, merchandise wise? Obviously on a match day, we'll be supported by Puma in terms of the point of sale, and we're going to try and have a better physical presence within the stadium by increasing that, both in the sports hall and over in the fan zone. And that'll be supported by Puma, as I say, in terms of branding and how we lay that out, and it'll feel more like a physical shop. But also in terms of the online store, this year's been very much, we've released product that we thought, let's see if this sells. Let's see if there's take up on this, and it was a bit of a trial and error, but we've learned a lot over the last 12 months. We've gathered a lot of data. We can see what's sold well and what's not sold well, and you'd be quite surprised, what sits in either camp in terms of product. The layout will change slightly, and I think it'll certainly, from an aesthetic perspective, it'll improve. We're working on the UX and the navigation, which I appreciate are quite sort of industry specific terms, but it's an industry I'm familiar with, and we'll keep pushing that forward. And yeah, I'm quite excited about what we can do with it.
Thanks very much. Anything to add?
Yeah, just a couple of points from me, Brian. Firstly, John has taken the shop to a total different level. I think none of us, John's talked about some targets at the start of the year that he wanted to achieve, and I'm not sure many of us believed he would get anywhere close to them. But we've just smashed target after target, and that has become a key revenue stream for us. And I think it's only going to get stronger. I think in terms of some of the products that John's brought to the board a few times, probably me sort of giving John the eye to say, really, are we going to sell that? And every time John keeps proving me wrong, because we keep selling and selling and selling. And that also comes down to the fans who realise that it's very important that the products we put out, the more we sell, the more profit to the football club. And some of the products do need a decent margin on them, which is something John is driving to us all the time. And it's made a massive difference to our commercials this year. So, I just also want to say thank you to John. We brought experts into this board, and John is clearly an expert in this field and is making a massive difference.
Yeah, I suppose as well, often the constraint for this board is going to be bandwidth and time, isn't it? And we know that there's a million, my day job, it's e-commerce, it's retail technology, it's software. And I run a business that represents retailers doing tens and hundreds of millions of pounds online, and I can see what they're doing, and I'm trying to think on how we can kind of take some of that knowledge and implement it with what we're doing. The challenge is always, it's just time, and it's getting to the point now, the online store, where it might make sense to bring in more support for it. If it starts to generate enough revenue that demands that it just needs a better service, because often, we do take the feedback, when it arrives, because I think it's important. We've had feedback about product, people don't like everything, and you're never going to win that argument, and that's absolutely fine. But we've also had occasions where people have had to chase us for delivery, and that's as a result of us not having the stock, or often just the case of us getting around to finishing the day job and trying to look after what we're doing for Ulti. So that's brought its challenges, but also it's one that we're aware of, and I think we get that feedback, and we're always listening. We've got a fan survey that we alluded to back in February that it is going to be sent out to all season ticket holders and I think newsletter subscribers within the next week, and there's stuff on there around the online store and retail in general, where we want people's feedback. What products do they want to see? What kind of service do they want? How do they want to interact with us? Would they prefer the physical store on a match day? Those kind of questions that we need the answers to, so that we can prep, because we've only got so much time and bandwidth.
Great. Okay, so 5 questions down, 5 to go. We're making good progress. The next question comes from one of our younger fans, Matt Parker, who celebrated his 18th birthday earlier this month. And Matt's question is, when are we going to see this brand newly refurbished sponsors lounge?
Yeah, I'll take that one, Brian. It's probably an easy one to answer. As soon as we can get fans back in, people were hoping to run a number of events in there and give people the opportunity to look at what we've done. In the meantime, I will try and see if we can get some pictures added to this for when it goes out live, just so people can get a look and feel for it. But it's looking great. Anyone who's been in there, the feedback has been fantastic. So we can't wait to get people in. Neither can Sam from a commercial point of view. So as soon as we can, we absolutely will do as soon as restrictions are lifted. As many know, I've not been to the club for over a year now, so I haven't actually seen it. So I can't wait to get over and see it, and hopefully bring some fans in and bring some commercial partners in.
You two have seen it, so anything to say?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go first, and Sam, you can jump in. But I mean, it was one of the things we knew that the sponsors lounge as it was looked a little bit tired, needed some TLC. We decided on that investment, knowing that we'd have to wait a while to get a true return on it. I don't think we were quite thinking that COVID was going to scupper that by another year, but it looks fantastic. It's somewhere I think Sam and Noel will be proud to host our partners on a match day. It'll also be, I think, it just organically lends itself to being a great atmosphere in there as well. And I can see that some games, I suppose when I first got involved midweek, in there it could look a little bit tired, whereas I think this will just give it a whole new life.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with. I'm lucky enough to have been in it and seen it through a few of the stages of the refurbishment, which has obviously been interesting. Definitely, it's sort of quite a multifaceted space. I mean, I could envisage, some of the partners using it for various things for them, board meeting, training, that sort of thing. Obviously, it can be used to host entertainment thing. I think definitely the match day experience in there will be great. Obviously the pitch takes center stage, which is great. It's a really lovely, light, airy space, quite modern. Feel like it's kind of moving the hospitality piece at the same rate as the rest of the club is moving. So that's sort of a nice position to be in. As I say, modern, light, airy, really pleasurable space to be in. And I think other opportunities other than a match day to get some revenue for the club from it. So it's really exciting, again, time for that.
Great. Okay, thanks, Matt, for your question. And the next question is also from the Parker family. It's from David Parker, who's Matt's dad. And David asks, when we get back to so-called normal, will the fans get an opportunity to see all the new developments around the ground? I'm sure a small fee would be okay.
I mean, absolutely. Can't wait to see everybody back. I don't think we'll charge. I said it, so that we can't do like but definitely, I think the key is, being quite serious. It's when it's safe and proper to do so. Just to, to a note to that, if I can, not to go away from your question, David, but I've been lucky enough to watch a few of the games behind closed doors through work purposes, and the way the everybody that's working at the club, particularly the stewards, led by Nigel, Paul Carter, the general manager, it's been a really safe, great environment to go to. So I think even when restrictions are partially sort of lifted, we could probably move towards getting small numbers in or working that through, definitely. I mean, it'd be great to see people to come and have a look round, get people's feedbacks, get their comments, just breathe in being in the ground. It is wonderful. I've sometimes been in the ground working and just taken a cup of coffee and sat in the stand, which is extremely luxurious to go and do, but it is a really lovely feeling, and people must have missed it hugely. So definitely, David, we'll get you in when we can. As I say, when it's safe to do so, but I think we'll definitely be able to manage that. We've got some real expertise that have taken us through this whole COVID situation, which we're personally, I'm extremely grateful for. So they've managed it very well.
Thanks, Sam.
Sorry, Brian. I'll do it. Sorry, I lost you.
Anything to add to Sam's comments?
Yeah, just a quick one from me. If David says we should charge, maybe we should. Only joking.
I said no.
Yeah, I think as soon as restrictions are lifted, we're starting to build a plan of, you know, what type of events we could run through the summer. We've obviously lost a lot of revenue, and it has been tough since we got the news that we weren't getting any further funding from the government. So we are looking at different type of events, because we can't just look for the same people to attend every event. So we're starting to really look at options where we can bring people in, you know, hopefully, and give them something to attend. And, you know, if I'm honest, you know, bring some revenue into the club, which will be much needed over the summer. So watch this space, and you should start seeing some stuff come out shortly. We have had a few false starts on this, because we've gone to do it and then restrictions have been back in. We've gone to do it, restrictions have been back in. Obviously, fingers crossed. You know, the UK is looking in a good place, and when we can do so, we'll absolutely be ready to bring fans in and hopefully put a number of events on over the summer.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. Next question is from Bill Egan. And Bill says, there has been a lot of talk about the plans for Altrincham FC to achieve full-time status and ultimately become a league club. Aside from the full-time playing staff and ground improvement cost impact, can you share the board to training facilities and infrastructure to support full-time training? Also, are there any commercial partners or activities that Altrincham FC could work with or use to help generate income from such a facility outside of training schedules and during the close season?
Yeah, I'll take this one, Brian. Yeah, so it's a great question, something which has been on our minds a lot recently as we've been getting into more of a detail of what a hybrid or full-time model would look like. And Bill makes a very good point, because, you know, the players are definitely a big part of it, but there's a lot of logistics that we'd also have to manage, in terms of training being probably one of the key ones. There's other things around player meals, getting players to and from different training areas if we decided to do so. So we have started looking at some options. It's not an easy one to fix. I think the club has been trying to fix a training ground issue that's probably been there for many a year. But we have linked up with a couple of partners, and we are making good progress. Not something I can talk about in detail, because we're not really at that stage yet. But, you know, I realise, as do the rest of the directors, that for us to go full time, you know, we need to have all parts of going full time ready for it. And not just being able to afford it, which is obviously one of the big asks in itself. So we are definitely looking at it. It's top of our agenda, and when we can talk about it, we will do. An interesting point to the second part of the question, which is around, you know, could we work with someone? You know, could we, if we did have our own training facility, you know, could we take some commercial revenue when we're not using it? Then yeah, I mean, that's a very good point as well. And it's something in terms of how we're approaching this, is to talk to other partners around what options are out there. And like I say, it's a little bit too early to start communicating any of that, but it is absolutely key to our future that we have good training facilities, and not just for the first team, but for the ladies team, the academy, the juniors, the community. And it is, like I say, it's high on our list. And as soon as I can, you know, bring some good news on that, I absolutely will do.
Okay, thanks very much, Lawrence. Anything to add to that? Right, let's crack on. Just two more questions to go. And the penultimate question comes from Declan Kavanagh, as it says here. Give him his Sunday name. So Dec says, as one of the more vocal fans about how our kit should look and feel, I'm delighted that Puma are now providing the kit. Well done to all involved. Is there any chance we could go back to the old style badge? It's something that has gone down well with fans for the Kings of the Golf Road shirts, and I think it would be a welcome addition to our new shirts as well. Also, is there any reason why the yellow third kit hasn't been released?
Good question, Declan. I suppose in terms of the look and feel, just touching on that, because again, we've been asked lots of questions on social, and I know we alluded to it slightly in one of the Facebook posts, but in terms of the look of the new shirt, well, we're going quite traditional. You will see a return to red and white stripes for next season. We've we're all set on that as part of the kit committee, and that's the plan for next season. It looks fantastic. It feels fantastic. I've been privy enough to have a sample of it. Old style badge. Probably want to put out to the fans to get some feedback on. From a personal perspective, I think stuff like that's very subjective. You can't ever please everybody with any decisions you make around, changing club crest, changing club badges. We'll always look at, feedback from supporters and stuff like that. But never say never. But I suppose it's not one we've had high on our agenda as a discussion point to date. Why hasn't the yellow third shirt been released? Well, I suppose one of the sensitivity around a new shirt supplier, a new kit supplier for next season, we were conscious that if I hate the word profiteering, but if we were to put the yellow shirt on sale at say Christmas, which was initially a plan, and then 2 months later announced that, oh, by the way, that's going to be old hat from next season, I think we'd have shortchanged quite a few people, and that became the thought process pretty quickly in sort of November, December, when we started talking about what we might do with kit supply. You can still, forever the commercial optimist, you can still get the yellow third shirt if you sponsor someone's yellow third kit this year. I think there's probably 4 or 5 players who still remain open for third shirt sponsorship, and you will if you want that third kit, you can get it that way. But yeah, there's no plans to release that. All I will say is, and a bit of a YouTube premiere exclusive, the new away shirt will be yellow.
There you have it. Fantastic. Anything to add? Okay, let's move on to the last question, which comes from John Pullett, another long-standing Altrincham fan, another fan I think's been watching they get the team well over 50 years, I think. And John asks, has the club applied for a government loan which replaced the grant provided for the October to December 2020 period? If they have applied, has the loan been granted? If so, what are the terms of the loan? So this obviously relates to the funding that came at the start of the season and has been such a controversial subject since the start of the new year.
Yeah, Brian, I'll answer that one. So in terms of, to answer the question directly, no, we haven't applied for any of the loans. When we took the decision, or when we were asked the question around, did we want to continue, we made a decision around the board table that we'd only, tick the box to continue if we could afford to manage it ourselves. And, some of the great work we've talked about today in terms of our commercial partners and the activity that John's done on the shop has, and some of the funding we got from the government earlier in the year, we've managed our costs very tightly, and that's enabled us to manage the second part of the season. So we absolutely don't want to bring loans into the football club unless it was absolutely necessary to do so, because it will have a impact on the club for many years to come, and we definitely didn't want to put that debt up. I won't beat around the bush and say it's not been easy the second half of the season, because it's probably cost us circa maybe 200,000 to continue, which is a huge amount of money without the income that we normally get back through the door. And it has been, extremely challenging, but the board has worked just continually so hard to bring every bit of revenue that we can bring into the football club, to maintain, the best position we can do. And it goes maybe to show how far we've come in a few years, where we can, we can manage such a big outlay of cost and without really income coming through the door, especially in the second half of the season, which is always difficult anyway for most clubs. So So, you know, no, we didn't want a loan, but I'd probably take the opportunity just to thank everyone who's listening to this, our commercial partners, people who've bought stuff in the shop, people who paid for the stream, because you've all made it possible for us to continue. And by the end of the year, you know, we'll be in a good position considering what we've been through.
Yeah, thanks, Lawrence. And at the moment, we've got probably the biggest squad that we've ever had at Altrincham Football Club, and we've had some recent additions to the squad. And some fans may think, well, able to do that, but these acquisitions haven't really cost us very much money.
No, I mean, Rob and Phil have done a fantastic job, really, especially the players have brought in on loan, where, you know, we have been able to manage the cost to a very sensible level. And that's why we've been able to bring them in. You know, we get asked the question a lot of the time around, you know, forwards and, you know, forwards who can score 20, 25 goals a season. They're very difficult to find. And if you can find them, they're unbelievably expensive. And, you know, that's something that, you know, when Rob and Phil are looking for players, you know, they're looking to bring players in, one, who'll make us stronger, but two, that we can actually afford to bring in. And they've done a fantastic job, you know, all season. And that's also made a big difference to the players we've got on the pitch, who, you know, I think have done fantastic throughout the whole season. But secondly, that we've been able to manage it within, you know, the cost constraints that we've been working on this year, with relatively no revenue coming in from a lot of our normal streams. You know, so through the gate, for example, you know, the streaming has replaced it, but only a small percentage of what we'd normally get. So yeah, but great work by Rob and Phil to bring some great players in without breaking the budget.
Fantastic. So anything to add to that in terms of the funding in the second half of the season?
No, not really. Nothing that Lawrence hasn't already alluded to. It's been tough, as Lawrence mentioned. We've had to be innovative. We've got plenty of initiatives planned. You know, things that we want to do, and clearly at the heart of that is giving something back to those who've supported us. But yeah, we're going to have to just find new ways, and we're going to have to be creative, and we're going to have to try and narrow that gap of you know, that deficit of not having people through the gates, not having the secondary spend in the bar and through retail. We're just going to have to be creative, and what's happened has happened. We've managed to kind of roll with the punches a little bit, and it's left us in a good position for next season to build, and we'll keep trying to do so.
Okay, great. Right, that's it. We're done. All 10 questions asked, all 10 questions answered. Thank you very much to the three of you for giving up your time and answering those questions. Hopefully everybody watching has found that really informative. We're trying to be as open as we possibly can at Altrincham Football Club at the moment. So hopefully you found that a really useful session. So thanks to you, Sam, thanks, John, and thanks to Lawrence for your time this evening.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks.
Thank you.